Hey everyone, TJ here, doing this one solo, special edition here on Friday. And with events from this week's impeachment combined with an article that I had recently read, I was just compared to vent and share a message to some of the Never Trumpers out there. And that message is hit the road, Jack. I've pretty much had it. I read an article involving regarding Billy Crystal, and it kind of got me going on this. And then with Mitt Romney's conduct the last few days of the impeachment farce, so infuriated me. I just got with Mac and I said, "Hey man, I got to get on there and vent." So here I am. In thinking about all this, I had to stop and wonder, where did we start in all this Never Trumper stuff? For me personally, a little bit of history on how this played out with me. It kind of started with George Will. And I'll tell you this about George Will. If you read one of his commentaries, his political articles, you better have a dictionary with you if you want to understand the text. If you don't, you're going to miss out on what he's trying to convey. I mean, he's basically typical condescending elitist, I'll tell you. In regards to George Will, Politico reported in June of 2016 that George Will was leaving the Republican Party. He was upset with the imminent nomination of Donald Trump. He was quoted as saying, "Make sure he loses," and he was also quoted as saying, "If Trump is nominated, the GOP must keep him out of the White House." You know, that's what he was going around saying, how he was going to vote for Hillary Clinton to preserve the presidency. Of course, President Trump wasn't too happy with this, and promptly referred to George Will as a major loser. Typical Trump response. When Donald Trump got the nomination, George Will's comment was, "This is not my party." As I was watching all this play out with George Will, I remember thinking, "Gee, George, if the Democrats are as bad as you say they are, how can you even possibly consider voting for a Democrat?" I was trying to reconcile that within my mind. May 2017, he joins the anti-Trumper gang on MSNBC, and so to George Will, I say, hit the road, Jack. Another person, kind of lesser known, but he's on my radar, George Conway, the husband to Kellyanne Conway. How he must be an embarrassment to her. I read that he's an insider Republican operative, and Trump has determined not to involve him in his administration. So now he's having his little tantrums. The guy never misses a chance to take a shot at President Trump. It's so bad. I genuinely have to wonder what the marriage is like between him and Kellyanne. I gotta think he's jealous of her position within the Trump administration. So to George Conway, I say, hit the road, Jack. Then we come to Jeff Flake, Rhino from Arizona, a senator. It seemed right from the start of President Trump's administration, he did nothing but to obstruct President Trump in his efforts. I mean, all the nominees, he was kind of mucking things up. You think about what happened with the Supreme Court and other judicial nominees. The whole Kavanaugh thing was a disgrace, courtesy of Jeff Flake. Kind of earned the nickname Snowflake. And if my research is correct, oddly enough, he was born in Snowflake, Arizona, if you can imagine that. He was in favor of the Mueller investigation, probably in an effort to smear President Donald Trump. He was so disliked by his constituency that in 2018 he didn't even run for re-election. So to Jeff Flake, hit the road, Jack. See ya. Billy Crystal, William Crystal, the William F. Buckley wannabe is how I always thought of him as. I read an article written by a Rabbi Aryeh Spiro, and that's kind of what got me going on this topic, and I'm going to touch on some of this article because it's so on point. Article from Front Page Mag by Rabbi Aryeh Spiro. He writes how Billy Crystal wants to associate with the Democrat Party, the very party that promotes dangerous socialist dystopia. The Democrat Party has 120 members that endorse CAIR, C-A-I-R. That's a pro-Islam organization. Rabbi Spiro later writes, someone lamented that Crystal has a good mind. So what? He seems to lack character. Then later on, Rabbi Spiro continues, Crystal has not been man enough or decent enough to admit that his prognostications about Trump have been shown to be wrong. Rabbi Spiro continues, when it became apparent that Crystal and his circle would not have the influence nor be advisors to Donald Trump, they turned against him like a woman scorned. You know, that surely happened. I dare anyone to tell me that's wrong. Rabbi Spiro later writes here, he is a politically spoiled, selfish, self-centered. He has aligned himself with some unsavory people who none of us would have found acceptable. He simply could not allow himself to be associated with someone he considers below his respectability standard. Such vanity and ignorance. So writes Rabbi Spiro. And I'll kind of end with this from Rabbi Spiro. I really encourage people to go to Front Page Mag, and it'd be easiest to search Rabbi Aryeh Spiro, and then you'll find the article. And I really encourage people to read this because it's so on point. It's so on point with Billy Crystal, and it's so on point with the Never Trumper mentality. Okay? But I'll end with this. Aryeh Spiro writes, Donald Trump actually represents some of the greatest characteristics of those in life that truly matter. In true American fashion, he says what he believes. He is forthright, and he believes in protecting people under his responsibility. He loves this country, and he puts its people first. Amen to Rabbi Aryeh Spiro. When I read this article, it kind of got me going. But I digress. Dare we bring up Pierre Delecto, also known as the less than honorable Mitt Romney, the senator from Utah. In the waning days of the impeachment, he opted to associate with the Democrats. On one of the counts, he voted along with the Democrats. The other one, he did not. I believe he also voted for the bringing of new witnesses, something only the Democrats voted on. No other Republicans did. In any event, in regards to Mitt Romney, back in 2016, during the presidential season, he got my attention when he was speaking to a group of young conservatives about the hazards of voting for Trump. And for me, that was when I realized, wow, this never Trump mentality. This is some serious. This is a serious movement here. And then the more I saw that play out, the more I became infuriated. How many times have we in the past been told, hold our nose and vote for their guy, time after time, year after year, presidential term after presidential term? They've expected us to just hold our nose and vote for the ones they seem inclined to put up for president. Then comes Donald Trump along, and they get upset. They get upset because of the way he conducts himself. They get upset that we won't hold our nose and vote for their guy. You know, this is just too bad for all these people. I suspect that Mitt Romney was hoping for a position in President Trump's administration, perhaps Secretary of State, but that didn't happen. What became obvious to the Never Trumpers at this point was President Trump didn't intend to have them very much involved in his administration. How dare he? How dare he was the way they acted. 2018, Mitt becomes Utah senator, and I was kind of hoping things would calm down, and they obviously have not. This impeachment has exposed Mitt Romney. He prefers to associate with the Democrats, and this has exposed the depth of his contempt that he has for President Donald Trump. He can no longer hide, making him the rhino of all rhinos. Rumor has it his constituencies looking into a recall. I can only hope that's the case. And to Pierre Delecto and all the other ones I've just now mentioned, hit the road, Jack. Okay, well that's it. I'm through venting. I just had to get out on here and share my thoughts with you guys, and I'm just so disgusted. I'm disgusted with this. You know what? I don't know if their contempt exceeds my contempt for them at this point. In any event, by all means, someone can feel free to tell me where I'm wrong down in the comments section if you dare. Until then, be safe, watch your six, and to the Never Trumpers, Pierre Delecto and gang, don't tread on me.